near my rear end, I guess you can say, and that's when I just felt something cold and hard just, I guess, penetrate me.
From "they stuck a gun up my rectum" to "officers stepped on my groin as if taking out a cigarette." This may sound like recollections of terror suspects who experience what is usually called enhanced interrogation techniques. But those are just a few accounts from Chicago residents who walked out of this building. The Homan Detention Center in Chicago looks like just another red brick building in this neighborhood, and the police claims that there's nothing special about it whatsoever. Those who made it out of these walls, they disagree. They claim that their experiences were horrific, kept 4 hours in intentionally overheated rooms, beaten up, shackled, with no access to water or lawyers, and their arrests had been kept off the books. This prompted comparisons among some to CIA black sites scattered all across the planet. Those who went through this are reluctant to talk now, either going through lawsuits against the authorities or simply afraid of further police action against them.
Violation of human rights and whatnot.
We interviewed the Intercept journalist Juan Thompson, who uncovered the story of Corey Wright, busted 10 years ago in a drug raid to be later released with no charges, but still being forced to go through the Homan Square nightmare.
He was kept in a hot room, zip-tied to a bench for hours, with no access to a telephone, no access to the bathroom, no access to water, no access to counsel. They tortured him by making him sit in a hot room for hours on a Chicago summer day. They were trying to get information out of him about other crimes to which, at least he claims, that he didn't know about. And the touchless torture that Corey Wright experienced in Chicago is also similar to some of the things that we've heard about Americans doing to people in Europe and in the Middle East.
Lawyers representing those who suffered abuse at Homan Square bang the drum of constitutional violations. That's because not only those who are taken to the center are usually innocent or minor offenders, but because they are not even booked while kept there.
You're taken off the grid. Nobody knows where you are, nobody can find you. And with that kind of anonymity, you have free license. Once you're taken in there, nobody can get to you. Your lawyer can't get to you. Your family can't get to you. You're not on any database. If you call and say, is my son there? Is my son arrested? We don't know. Well, no, we don't have him in the booking.
But why would the police force run something which can draw parallels with torture sites? Jason Epstein believes that's because they feel if they are the law, they can also be above it.
They don't want the inconvenience of providing people their civil rights, because that interferes to them with their investigation, and to them their investigation is more important. You're committing crimes and trying to combat crime. It's like, hey guys, you lost sight of your goal here. You're trying to you're trying to stop somebody from carrying a gun or having drugs, but you can't abuse the people in trying to do that.
The Chicago police have staunchly denied any allegations the Homan Square could be a torture site. In a public statement, it said CPD abides by all laws, rules and guidelines pertaining to any interviews of suspects or witnesses at Homan Square or any other CPD facility. Well, if that was so, why would Corey Wright say something like this to Juan Thompson?
His experience with the Chicago police and the horrible thing that they put him through made him not want to be black, because he just thought the police were harassing black people. You are questioning your ethnic identity and your very being and your person because of this horrible experience.
After the Homan Square story became public, it spurned several protests by the facility's walls and repeated calls to have the facility shut down.
This place is a torture chamber. Still is.
That is something those who have had the experience of being there hope will happen after they have filed a class action against the Chicago police. Alexei Roshevsky, RT, reporting from Chicago.
Alexei joins me now to discuss his findings further. Alexei, you spoke with the lawyers overseeing the class action lawsuit brought by the victims. How strong is this case?
Well, they believe their case is very strong, but because right now it unites 20 people, at least 20 people who have gone through the Homan Detention Center. The things they've said, their testimonies are very similar to each other, kept for hours in overheated rooms, zip-tied to a bench. Some of them were not allowed to go to a toilet. Some of them were actually fed once or twice in 3 or 4 days. There are, of course, horrible accounts, as what Angel Perez said, of being, as he claims, sexually abused as well. But the problem here, and that's something that lawyers do acknowledge, that most of the people do not have any visual or sound evidence of what was happening to them within the walls of the Homan Square facility. Only Angel Perez has managed to find to obtain those videos. And even those videos, they were, as lawyers claim, somewhat edited by the police, by those who provided this footage. So they still believe the case is strong, and considering that how many testimonies are there, they're hoping that the police will eventually shut down this facility.
They are some horrible reports, as you said it right there. But RT has spoken to the police department, and they adamantly say that Homan is not a hidden site. You were there. How secret is it really?
Well, looking at the Homan Square facility from the outside, it doesn't look, as I've said in my story, it doesn't look anything out of the ordinary. Only the parking lots around it would suggest that this facility belongs to the police. But on paper, this is supposed to be the facility where people would pick up their stolen items, or where confiscated money, drugs and weapons would be kept. And also we heard from the police that this facility needs protection because some undercover agents are working out of it. But then again, if we look at the video provided by Angel Perez, obtained by Angel Perez, we see that a person is being brought in to a room called prisoner entrance, and the lawyers, they're insisting that this facility is not a detention facility and nobody should be kept inside there. So again, with the police staunchly denying any kind of accusations that this may be a black site of some sort, it's really hard to believe that, considering the evidence which is already available and which may be available once the lawyers bring their case to trial.
RT correspondent Alexei Oreshevsky from our New York studio, thank you so much for your reporting.